When I tell you that I have an exciting show waiting for you, you gotta believe me, folks. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Reality, and my name is Sergio Saya, and I'm your host. I have the pleasure today of having my beautiful daughter and partner, Samantha. Say hi, Sam.
Hey everyone, we're coming to you live today from LI News Radio at MacArthur Airport. My name is Samantha Saya, and I am a licensed real estate broker and investor.
So, very happy that you're an investor. I'm very proud of you. We got Samantha into the family business at a very early age.
That's true. I invested in my first house when I was actually still living with you. And I guess that was a little while ago, long time ago. We'll say that.
Why don't you tell them what you did to my car, too, while we were at it?
No, I'm not doing that.
So, no matter how you made money, or no matter how rich people made their money, how do you keep it? How do you grow it? It's real estate. Most of the people in America got rich with real estate. So one of the things I caution people is to stay away from scammers. That these scammers want to sell you a quick way to become a millionaire.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. You're talking about all those real estate gurus that are on social media. They sell you these packages and they guarantee you that you will make a ton of money.
Yeah, those people.
I see them every day. And if I didn't know that they were a scam, they sound very convincing. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
All right. So, folks, please take my advice. Don't buy the crap that these people are selling you online. Even if you're desperate, use some common sense, do the math. And you know what? There's resources available to you. There's Sergio, there's me. And there's YouTube. And if you need to reach me, my telephone number is 631-236-8546. And we'll talk about it, okay? I'll teach you how to make money in real estate for free. So let's get into it. I'm going to break it down for you. There's 8 ways to make money. There used to be 7, but I kept on saying, that song, 7 Ways to Leave Your Lover. So Samantha changed it to 8. So these methods are tried and true. And guess what? Some of these methods don't even require money. But there's other methods that do require money.
Yeah, so here we go. These 2 methods that don't require money on your part is number 1, bird dogging. And secondly, there's joint venture as well.
Excellent. I love joint ventures. Number 3 is wholesaling, flipping, leasehold, syndication, rentals, and subject to.
Yeah, so let's get started with number 1, which is bird dogging. This is such a simple way to make money. If you have little time on your hands or you're aware of your surroundings, then you can make money by providing leads to an investor, like myself.
Or your dad.
Yeah, or you. I'll say you too. Investors are desperate for inventory, and they are willing to pay handsomely for good exclusive leads.
That's right.
So, yeah, if you know of an investor, like me,
or my dad,
or my dad, or maybe even someone you know better than us, go up to them and say, hey, if I find you a house that you can buy and make money with, will you pay me? Chances are, if they are professional investors like us, they will pay you at the very least $5,000. And we do that all the time. If you find us a house that we purchase and at closing, we will pay you at least $5,000. And I say at least because at times we've even paid more.
That's right. I remember when we were in the other office in the Smithtown area that 1 year, I don't know if you remember, but I do definitely remember, I wrote a check out to one of our bird doggers, $60,000.
That was amazing and also crazy, but they were very helpful.
Good times. So number 2, joint ventures. And like I said before, joint venture is one of my favorite ones because that's actually how I started investing in real estate in 1989. And that was about 3 years after I entered real estate. So what you need is an investor that has money, but doesn't have the time, the knowledge, the resources available to invest. So in 1989, I was introduced to a man that owned a pizzeria. He was very successful in the pizzeria, and he had a ton of cash. And I was introduced to him, and I laid out my plan. And back then, I wanted to start building homes from scratch. They used to call them stick-built homes. And we sat down, and I explained to him that this is what I do. I'm very knowledgeable in this, and I sold myself to him. And we would split the profits 50-50. He was very, very interested. He was sold on the project, and it worked out. So the first project that we had was to build a house in Lindenhurst. It was a high ranch. And back then, the high ranches were really hot because you could rent them up and down. So we did that project. I sold that project. I found the land, and we both made, we both made $25,000. Total profit was $50,000. But after that, I got better. I became more organized. I knew the business more. I had more connections. And after that, we started making a lot more money. We were making $100,000 a house. We were selling about 3-4 houses a year. So the income was really, really good. That's when Samantha was really little. So that's what I did with this guy. And that's something that I can teach you how to do that. And the third one is called wholesaling. Okay, so wholesaling is a little bit more challenging in this market because the potential risks involved. The market values are really, really high, and to do the wholesaling in a correct way, you have to buy the house below market value. So what you do is you find a house, you find someone that might be in distress, okay, somebody that is in foreclosure, and what you do is you go up to them and you say, hey, I want to buy your house. And it has to be below market value, like I said. So let's use an example. This person in distress wants $425,000 for their house, but their house fixed up would be worth, let's say, $700,000. A big, big difference. So what you do is you go to contract for $425,000, and you reach out to one of the many investors like Samantha and I, or somebody that you know, and you say, hey, look, I have this house. Now, you insert your profit margin on top of the 425. Let's use 50,000. Okay. So you say, listen, I have this house for $475,000. It's going to be worth $700 when you put about $120,000 into it. Okay. So then obviously the investor is going to say, yeah, of course I'll do it. The one thing that you have to make sure though, okay, is when you go to contract that you have the assignability clause within your contract. That contract needs to be assigned. And what that means is that you can sell that contract to somebody else. Okay. So at closing, the investor takes over the house, you get the $50,000. And you made $50,000 without doing anything. I have done this many, many times and made more than $50,000 per transaction. Okay. The other way to do this is to actually buy the house and close on it. And the reason why sometimes we do that is because it's a foreclosure or a short sale where they don't allow you to do that. Okay. So the same scenario, the only thing that you will have to close and then sell it to the investor.
All right, so number 4 is flipping. Flipping houses is a great way to make money, but it involves some important choices. Let's talk about a scenario. So you buy a rundown house for $250,000, spend $200,000 on renovations and other costs. That totals out to $475,000. So after fixing it up, you can sell it for $625,000, and your profit actually ends up being $150,000, which is pretty nice.
It is.
Scenario 2, which is a little riskier, if you do your homework just like in scenario 1, but instead of paying in cash, you borrow money at a high interest rate with some upfront fees. So let's say you buy the same house, $250,000, and spend $200,000 on renovation and costs. The total is $475,000 again. You need to sell it for $625,000, but it takes you 6 months, which is longer. During that time, you'll pay about $53,000 in loan costs, and your profit will be less, $97,000, especially if there's like delays. You might lose money because of the high interest. So in scenario 2, there are more uncertainties and risks, so be cautious. Flipping can make a big profit, but it's also important to plan carefully and consider your financial options.
Absolutely. I never liked borrowing money. I did that once. I did it on a project in Hewlett. And let me tell you, it was horrible because we ran into costs. And, when you have a hard money loan, you're paying interest only. You're paying interest only. So at the end, you have still the principal that you need to pay. And you know what? It feels like you never made money. So on that one project, I remember that I lost like $80,000 in paying those interest rates. And that's not what you want to do. So when we come back, we're going to tell you a little bit more on how to make money. Come back with us, okay? Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, this is Real Estate Reality with Sergio Saya and Samantha Saya. Today we are talking about how to make money in real estate. I hope that you were listening to me because I gave you a lot of good options. We're going to get into it a little bit more. So we already spoke about bird dogging, wholesaling, and flipping. So we were talking about borrowing the money to flip. Let me continue. So the hard money is given to people that usually have experience. It's not just given to anybody. So somebody like myself or Samantha will be able to borrow money for hard money. Not that we would, but we could borrow up to 90%. They want you to have a 10% stake in the project. The interest rates right now are ridiculous.
Yeah.
14, maybe 15%, especially if you're not an experienced person. Somebody like myself might be able to get anywhere from 11 to 12. The points are ridiculous, 2 to 3 points. And hard money is how people get themselves in trouble, Sam. They borrow, they don't know what they're doing, they run into cost overruns. And you know what? Like I said before, they start paying those interests.
Right.
Okay. So right now, let me explain something right now. Right now, if you're buying hard money, you're probably borrowing like from $500,000 to $600,000. Okay. That means that your mortgage payment, your interest only, is going to be about $5,000, $6,000 a month. Do that for 12 months, and you could be about $70,000 in the hole if you have to wait a whole year. Yeah. And that's why I hate hard money loans. We buy everything in cash, and it's faster. So, little story. We bought this house, what was it, about 3 years ago, Sam?
Yeah.
About 3 years ago in Rocky Point. Samantha, you were driving around, right? So what happened?
That's all I was doing. I was driving around Rocky Point, which has no service, by the way. So
were you bird dogging?
I guess I was. I was driving around blindly, and I stumbled upon this house that was clearly overgrown, vacant, and needed our help. Yeah.
So you brought the project to me.
Yeah,
and
I
I contacted the homeowners, and we started negotiating with the bank. Mm-hmm. They were willing to sell the house to me. So I started negotiating with the bank. In the interim, the bank stopped cooperating because they wanted to foreclose on the house.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So they claimed bankruptcy. Their attorney advised them to claim bankruptcy, which a lot of times stops the foreclosure. And then I had to speak to the referee, the bankruptcy referee, which means that when you do bankruptcy Chapter 7, the referee now owns that house. Mm-hmm. The owners don't own the house anymore. So I had to start the whole process again with the referee. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to find a reasonable referee, and he worked with me. And we were able to buy that house, renovate it, right? And who helped me with everything?
Me.
Right.
Of
you
course.
helped me pick out things, and we got Allison involved, and we got Gina Orlando involved in staging the house.
Everyone had a hand on it.
Yeah, everybody was helping, Wound up selling the house, and the market started going up, Sam. I don't know if you remember. We had a couple of deals on the house, but because there was one attorney that was just a jerk, we will not mention
Do not
his
say
name.
his name.
Okay. He was just a jerk. He made us lose a couple of deals.
Right.
Okay. And we were able to sell the house for more than what we listed it for.
Right.
It was the time when things started to go up. So we probably made on that house about $180,000 in profits.
Yeah.
We did.
100%.
So that was good. All right. So let me get going. The next thing I want to talk to you about is leasehold. So leasehold is an investment vehicle where you lease the property that is in distress. So you go up to a homeowner that is losing their home and you say, listen, I want to do a deal with you. I want to rent your house. Okay. I want to give you $10,000. Just a number out of the air. Could be more. It could be 20, but usually it's 10. I'm going to give you $10,000 for you to rent me the house. Now, you rent the house from the landlord. From the owner, you become the landlord. Within that lease, you have to understand that you need to make the lease assignable. In other words, you have to have the ability to sublease that property. Okay? Just like the contract. The contract is assignable. The lease is a sublease authorization. So now you take the property, you give them $10,000, okay? And now you get a tenant for that house. So these days, a house anywhere is going anywhere from $3,500 to $4,000, right, Sam?
Yeah.
So you take, let's say you rent it for $4,000. We'll do simple math. 3 months, including the broker's fee, if you're a broker. And you have $12,000 in hand. Immediately, you're $2,000 ahead. Okay? So your $10,000 come back. You make $2,000 profit. And from that point on, you're making a profit of $4,000. Do you have to pay the mortgage? No, you're renting it. Do you have to pay the taxes? No, you're renting it. Okay? At most, if you want to be a good landlord, you're going to do the maintenance on the house. So as a renter, you keep all the profits.
Right. So number 6, we have syndication. And syndication might sound complicated, but it's actually quite simple. It's like gathering a group of investors to buy something together. So let's say you're buying a house for $500,000. You bring in investors to cover the $500,000 cost. And in return, you give them a share of the investment. So it's like a group of people chipping in to invest in something and sharing the rewards like later. And the only difference being is that the syndicator always ends up making a percentage of the transaction. So it's actually not even that complicated at all.
No, it's not complicated, and people get lost in it and they get confused. But again, if you call me, I'll be able to help you. Rental of properties, guys. People don't understand that they can buy properties to rent them, but so many people get it wrong. This is what you have to focus, folks, okay? Market value. You need to know what the market value of the rent is. Number 2, you have to know, you have to make a positive cash flow, and you have to know how to make that positive cash flow by buying right, okay? Do not let a tenant into your house unless you are secure and you feel good about that tenant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if they have bad credit or they don't have an employment or an income source, not employment, an income source, do not rent it to them. If you are in New York, be aware of the eviction laws. Make sure that you have a good landlord-tenant attorney that will give you a lease template to utilize. I personally recommend that you open up an LLC. You place the property that you're buying, your rental property, that you put it into that LLC. And guess what? One more thing. You're going to take that LLC and you're going to fold it into a trust. Okay. Now, next week, we're going to have an attorney here, Angelo Iacono, that she's going to tell you about trusts and estates. So I want you to make sure that you come next week. So after you fold that LLC into a trust, you will be protected from liabilities.
All right. And then we have number 8, which is subject to. In real estate, subject to means buying a property while keeping the current mortgage in place. So the buyer doesn't take on the mortgage, but gains control of the property. They are responsible for managing it and may make mortgage payments to prevent foreclosure. And it's a way to acquire property without getting a new loan.
Awesome.
Yeah, but it carries some risks. I'm going to say that. It carries some risks, like everything always does. Both parties need a clear agreement to protect their interests. And It's smart to consult with professionals for guidance, wouldn't you say?
I definitely would. Definitely get a quitclaim deed. Make sure that the house is deeded to you. So next week, we will be talking with Ann DeLiacono. She's a friend of mine. We actually play pickleball together. And we've actually played some tournaments. It's going to be an awesome
You've
show.
gotten very good at that.
She's awesome. I'm good at it too, and I enjoy it. That's the most important thing. So she's going to have a lot of insights. She actually advised me on my own trust, the one that I did with Mommy, and I think that she's great. So this is really the end of the show, and I'm going to wind it down. I want you to join us next week when we talk about probates and trusts. You can always see our show on YouTube, which is a podcast, and you can look for us on social media, RE Reality NY, on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Can you imagine? It's X now. It's not X. Twitter anymore. It's X. So we are on X, we are on Instagram, Facebook, and come and join us.
See you around.
See ya.